True Serum segment tonight. Two very hot topics, beginning with justice in Baltimore. As we've been reporting, the factors trying to find out how many people out of the 486 arrested in the violence down there have actually been charged. Joining us now from Washington, Shannon Bream, and here in New York City, Eric Shawn, both are Fox News correspondents. So why can't we get this information, Eric?
Well, ask Ms. Mosby. She's not giving it out.
We asked her every day. We asked her.
Well, here's the letter that you got. I mean, look, this stuff's in the computer. They can get an intern, push the button, spew it out, and give it to you. They said, we are in receipt of your request dated May 6, pursuant to Maryland Public Information Act Title IV of the General Provision Article of the Maryland Code 214-4203. We have reviewed your request and will produce the information within a reasonable time period that is needed to retrieve the public record, but not more than 30 days after receipt.
Retrieve the public record. Look, when you charge someone with a crime, that immediately goes into the computer database of the county in which you're charged. So, as you rightly pointed out, all I'd have to do is have an intern just pop it up, and then they could get us the information. So clearly they do not want to give us the information. Well,
according to her letter, she's promised you by June 4th.
Okay,
June,
but we
June
want
6th
it now to put things into perspective. Now, they can update it anytime they want, but 486 arrests, how many have been charged thus far? Then we can move the story along. But they don't want to give it. Why do you think they don't want to give it?
They may not want to say that so many people were released, perhaps.
But they've already made a statement that some people were released and not charged.
Yeah, but they've got to break it down for you. You're holding their feet at the fire to break it down exactly who was arrested and who's released. And that could cause an outcry to say, look, you just let people out because, first of all, if you are arrested in Maryland, you have 24 hours to go before the court commissioner. The governor moved that to 48 hours.
After the riots.
Yes, and what the police have said and has been acknowledged is that they did not have all the manpower, and it was a mess to try to get everybody together, get all the paperwork together. So in some cases, they just had to release people.
And that is understandable.
They were innocent.
When you're into that kind of an intense situation where your first duty is protect, and you're grabbing people off the street, and you have to go back and do the paperwork, you don't have time to do it that week. We understand that. All we want to do is have an update. We understand that it's not an easy gig. But I'm going to predict now, Shawn, that 20%, less than 20% of those arrested will be charged. And those charged will be minor crimes. Maybe a couple they'll showcase, but not many.
Well, we'll know on June 6th, according to her letter.
Okay. Now let's get to the Veterans Administration. As you know, last year there was a big scandal, and they appointed a new director. And here's what he said. Roll the tape.
900 people have been fired since I became secretary. All right. So. We've got 60 people that we've fired who have manipulated wait times.
Okay, so Shannon Bream in Washington, he said how many people have been fired?
900.
And how many people actually have been fired?
Well, it is true that there were 900 people that were fired, but you need context for that because half of those people were in this sort of probationary period, been there less than a year. These are not people who would have been part of these years-long deep-seated problems. The second number is even more disturbing because he said 60 were fired in conjunction with those wait times and the falsification. Not so. Both the Washington Post and New York Times have gotten their hands on documents given to the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Boiled it down, it looks like now at most 3 people were fired connected to that particular scandal.
So we want to remind everybody the scandal was that vets were going in and asking for treatment. They couldn't get treatment. The waiting times were outrageous. It broke in Arizona. The new secretary, Robert McDonald, said 60 people were fired because of that. The reportage says 3 were fired. Is that what you're saying? 3, not 60?
Yeah, and what's interesting is the New York Times says, based on the documents it has seen, they think you could say even just one person has actually been fired.
What does McDonald say about that?
Well, it's interesting because the department has put out some clarification after his statement saying we want to clarify that yes, dozens of people did get in some kind of trouble, but we're talking about people maybe get trouble. They might have gotten a letter in their file. They might have gotten temporarily suspended.
Maybe they tied their shoelaces together.
They might have, but that doesn't count as getting fired.
All right. So once again, the federal government not giving the folks, we the people who pay their salaries, the correct information in the VA. And in Baltimore, we can't get any information. What a country! Thank you, guys.